Negroes who will never fight for freedom. There are Negroes who seek profit for themselves, alone from the struggle. There are even some Negroes who will go over to the other side. Martin Luther King Jr.
This video is going to be a follow-up video to the ones I did on the Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony story. Go check out my previous videos that I already dropped. I think I dropped like 2 or 3. Go check it out. We broke down the police report. I gave my thoughts on the situation, and I gave my commentary. So check those out first before we jump into this one. But anyways, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about a fellow content creator, Anthony Brian Logan. And Anthony is what you would call a black conservative. He's a black conservative, media personality, content creator, etc., etc. Now, typically when it comes to black conservatives in the United States or even in Europe, typically when it comes to them, their thoughts are not original, right? They're simply parroting what they heard or the marching orders that were given by their white conservative overlords that dictate the propaganda, that dictate the narrative, right? They are simply a vessel, a vehicle used to promote the narrative given to them by those above them in the hierarchy. Now, in this case, in Austin Metcalf versus Carmelo Anthony, Anthony Brian Logan actually surprised me because, to me, it looks like he went off script. Because instead of just, running with the propaganda and the narrative that was set from the beginning, he actually sat back and gave a critical analysis of the situation. And his audience is completely furious right now. His audience, man, it's crazy, man. But like I said, when it comes to these black conservative media personalities, you are not here to actually give your original thoughts. You are here to promote whatever narrative is the order of the day. And if you dare go off script, if you dare go against the narrative, then they turn against you immediately. And that's what I'm seeing here right now with Anthony Brian Logan, right? Anyway, take a look up on the screen. Now, just so y'all don't get confused between Carmelo Anthony and Anthony Brian Logan, I'm going to refer to Anthony Brian Logan as ABL because I don't want y'all to get confused. Now, at the top, ABL said this. So Anthony gave Metcalf 2 warnings to not touch him, and he did it anyway? And somebody responded and said, yes, so we killed him. Nice kid, huh? Can you see your own son acting like this? And ABL said, I would tell my son not to be a bully and not pick fights with people. Now, I'm seeing a lot of the white conservatives try to analyze or psychoanalyze Carmelo Anthony, the suspect in this case, but they always try to leave out so much critical information. For example, Carmelo Anthony, 130-pound teenager, standing about 5'9". Austin Metcalf, football player, over 6 feet tall, over 225 pounds, and his brother, the same body type, right? They approached Carmelo. They instigated a verbal altercation. They escalated to a physical altercation, right? But somehow we are psychoanalyzing the character of Carmelo Anthony, the one who was approached and assaulted and aggressed upon. Like I said, man, but I'm surprised by ABL actually taking the position of logic and actually analyzing the situation instead of simply regurgitating whatever propaganda or narrative is being set. Now, take a look up on the screen. ABL went on to say, all you need to do is leave people alone. There was no reason to engage with the kid at all. But this is why I cannot be around some people, because you all do not understand this concept. You want to do whatever you want without any consequences. And that's a fact. And that goes back to my video that I did where I talked about Austin Metcalf and the dangers of how white boys are raised. Like I told you, I've seen it growing up as a teenager, my white associates. There's no respect. They really believe they could do whatever they want, right? Raising a voice against their own mother. Getting physically violent with their own father. I've seen it. Some of them really believe they can do whatever they want. Now, let's continue. This person said at the top, I find it ridiculous that everyone is discussing their race when there are no indications that race had anything to do with it. And then ABL said this, because Matt Walsh and others had poisoned the well from the beginning, which is why the story went viral. Now, that's a fact, and that's why I started covering the story. I wasn't even going to cover this topic because it really, 2 teenagers, they had a physical altercation. It unfortunately ended tragically. I mean, it happens all the time. I wasn't going to cover this story at all. But when I seen certain white conservative bloggers like Matt Walsh, among many others, right, trying to racialize it, trying to politicize it, that's when I jumped in, right? When I seen all these white conservative bloggers start talking about we need to purge black men from civilization, and then I seen them psychoanalyzing young black men and all this nonsense, right? Meanwhile, if you watch my previous video, videos, you saw how fast it was for me to find several news articles from just last year alone of white men engaging in all type of barbaric behavior, kidnapping little black girls, keeping them shacked up in their basement, chopping up black women, dumping them in the ocean. But you didn't see any of these same white conservative media personalities open their mouth when those news stories were in the headlines. In fact, a lot of those news stories never even hit the national news, right? But they wanted to blow this one story up for their own nefarious reasons. And that's when I jumped on the story. That's when I started covering the story. Now, let's continue. ABL said this: the only reason the Track Kid story got any traction is because online grifters promoted it as a way to get money from rage bait by turning it into a white victim, black aggressor situation. No different than the mainstream media did with George Floyd, just with reverse racists. Now, this person responded at the top. They said this: just like ABL turned into a woke bitch. Unbelievable. I'm so sick of these fake conservatives, right? You see, like I said, man, as a black conservative, you're not allowed to really give your original thoughts, right? Your authentic thoughts. You have to toe the line. You have to promote the narrative that was given to you. And if you dare go off script, look how fast they disrespect you. But whenever you parrot their narrative, whenever you push their narrative, they gas you up. Oh man, he's one of the good ones. Oh, I like him. You know, he's one of the good blacks, right? But as soon as you decide to simply just go off script and just give your original thoughts and just be original for 2 seconds, now all of a sudden, oh, look at this woke bitch.
Bro, I've been trying to tell these Sambos and these Aunt Jemimas for years that sooner or later you're going to get your wake-up call. And Aunt Jemima the other day acted like she couldn't understand what the hell I was saying. Your day is coming. When you talk about black people, you better not go off script. Just like this brother said, the moment you go off script, you're going to lose your support from these picklewoods. But as long as you talk down on your own people, as long as you try to parrot their white supremacist talking points, as long as you do that, you're good. But the moment you go off script, the moment you go right instead of left, your ass is out. Look at Candace Owens. Candace Owens. The moment she went off script, boom, they canceled her. Anthony Brian Logan, I'm not sure if they're going to cancel him yet or not, but he went off script. And as soon as he got off script, you see these picklewoods go in on him. And so these Sambos here on YouTube and these Aunt Jemimas, sooner or later, they're going to get their wake-up call. Thank you for coming back to the Black Only News and Entertainment Network. Peace, take care, and be safe. And go check out this brother's channel. You're 100% correct. As long as you stay on script, you're good. The moment you go off script, it's all over with. And these picklewoods will show you just what they really think about you. Peace, take care, and be safe.
Those who will never fight for freedom. There are Negroes who seek profit for themselves, alone from the struggle. There are even some Negroes who will go over to the other side. Martin Luther King Jr.